Well, Bretteney, thanks for being here today. I'm so excited to be able to introduce you again to all of our wonderful people here at Taproot Theatre Company. Will you give an introduction to yourself, please?
Hello, I'm Bretteney Beverly. I am the new Associate Artistic Director here at Taproot Theatre Company. So happy to be here.
Well, welcome. I know that you have quite a history with Taproot, although you are new to this role. Can you tell me a little bit of the work that you've done on stage and other capacities here?
Absolutely. So my start at Taproot started in the Isaac doing a Charlie Brown Christmas. I have to admit I am biased because that's where I started. That's where my journey started at Taproot. And I feel like that show allows you an insight to the community that not a lot of shows give you because everyone comes to see a Charlie Brown Christmas. We have people who said, we've been here every year. We know it's the same show, but it's the feeling that the show gives. So the love and the response that I got from the community and from Taproot staff by being a part of that show, I think that helped me with my deciding factor of Seattle's where I want to be, and Seattle's where I would like to make art and where I would like to build community. From there, I did Crowns with the amazing, talented, wonderful Faith Bennett Russell as the director. And it was a once in a lifetime experience. I have done interviews in the past where I referenced the experience that we had while we were doing Crowns. And I have to say, I don't know that we would have had that experience anywhere else but at Taproot. And I think it's because they made us feel safe. They made us feel welcome. And they trusted and valued our story. And they trusted us to tell that to the community and bring this side of African-American culture, specifically church culture, to Taproot community, to Seattle community. And the reception for that show was amazing. I mean, every night we'll be on stage, it would be electric. So that's a little bit of my history with Taproot. I met Karen back in 2016 at my MFA in acting showcase. And I remember she came up to me at the end and she said, "You belong in Seattle." And I was like, I've always wanted to go, but I've never really had a reason to go. And at the time, I told her, I said, I wouldn't be able to commit to anything because I just accepted a year-long contract for theater in Atlanta, but I'll always keep Seattle in my thoughts. And sure enough, at the end of my apprenticeship in Atlanta, I was like, I'm going to reach out to Karen and see what's available at Taproot. Can I audition for anything? And Charlie Brown Christmas came up. So Taproot Seattle has always been in the back of my mind. And I think just being here, being immersed in the community, being immersed with the staff at Taproot, who was immediately and always welcomed me, helped me make this decision to make the move. And I'm really happy that I did.
I'm so glad that you did as well. And when you started just a couple of months ago, you jumped right in. I remember you moved, you started, and I think the first day on the job, you were already working with the road company that was starting rehearsals for the school year. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Absolutely. So I knew coming in that was going to be one of my first responsibilities. I knew later that our sneak peek was also the first day of road company rehearsal. And I remember Karen was like, I know you'll have a lot on your plate, but I would really like to go ahead and introduce you to our patrons and to our community if you're open to it. And I was like, absolutely. I think so much of part of my responsibility in this role is to get to know the community, is to get to know our patrons, it's to get to know our staff, to get to know our board, because that's how I can serve everyone better. That's how I can do my job best. So I can serve Karen, Taproot, and our patrons and community best. So I was very excited about working with Road Company. I come from a history of touring as well, and there's no feeling like impacting young children, and a lot of them, it's their first experience with it is impressionable. It's something that they will always remember. I will remember when Taproot came and did Bugs, or they did Allies, or they did Relationship Status. They will never forget that experience. They'll never forget how they feel seen by the actors on that stage. So I do not take that responsibility lightly as being the director of Road Company, because the Road Company essentially, they represent Taproot in the community. They're literally the face of Taproot, if you think about it, next to Karen. So it's imperative that one, we're picking the right people, we're having the right people in the room, but that we're imparting to them how important it is for us to touch these young lives, especially with bullying prevention. But yeah, my first day was great. Everyone keeps saying, it must have been so stressful. I think I kind of prepared for it once I knew that's what it was. And I was really excited about it. So I think it turned out pretty great.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear it. I mean, we were all so excited to have you here. And I want to hear a little bit more about your role as Associate Artistic Director. I also just want to point out that you work with the road company. You do all of your roles, and you also still are on Taproot stages. And I want to have you tell people a little bit more about when they're going to see you on stage as well.
Absolutely. So I like to say that one thing that Karen gave me the opportunity when we were talking about my role in this capacity, and she said, I want this one to be a collaborative effort, and I don't want us to get stuck on what's on paper, because I want you to come in and I want you to observe and see some things that we need, and from there, fill in those gaps. So again, I knew immediately that directing the ROCO touring shows was going to be a part of my responsibility, which I was so eager to do. Also, another thing that's on my plate is casting, which I'm incredibly passionate about. The people we see on stage, that's how we know that, one, we're represented, that the people that are producing these shows care about underrepresented communities, that they're giving them the opportunity to tell their stories and valuing their stories and opening it up to a wider audience so that we all can see that we have so many shared experiences, and how much that theater can be a model for life in society, and it can be a reflection, right? And it's a learning experience, a growing experience, just as much as it's entertainment. Something else that's on my plate is artistic engagement, which I think for me and my history with Taproot has been very important. I've always felt that Taproot poured into me just as much as I gave to Taproot. So I think artistic engagement, especially in this season, in our industry, is very important. What we are giving in return to our audiences, what we're giving in return to our patrons and to our artists who allow themselves to be vulnerable on stage and give us these stories. Community engagement is also very important to me. So working with the marketing team about what's Taproot's stance in the community? Where do we build those connections? Where do we network? We recently hosted a town hall, which was very, very successful. And I was standing at the doors at the exit when everyone was leaving. And everyone would stop me and say, thank you so much. We are so grateful that Taproot opened its doors to allow us to come in and represent the community and speak to our elected officials. That's the power of community engagement. That means Taproot is a pillar, a positive pillar for community engagement. That's very important to me. Also, another part of my role is being a part of the production team and giving insight into season selection, giving insight into looking at our processes and looking at our systems and evaluating to see, are we running the most efficient things? How are we running them? Should we go back and look at best practices, and also go back and look at best practices and see what's best for Taproot? What's best for our audience? What's best for us in growth so that we're here for another 40 years? So what do we need to do to put in place? So I feel like my position is ever evolving. But for right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm also directing Christmas touring shows. I'm getting ready to direct shows, a show at Seattle Pacific coming up. And I'm so excited. I get to be directed by the great Karen Lund in A Woman of No Importance coming up in the spring. Well, excuse me, early winter, really.
Not far away. Not far away at all.
Right.
That's going to be great. Well, Bretteney, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I am wondering, is there anything else you would like to share?
I would just like to say thank you. I have felt incredibly welcomed. And a lot of people said, how is the transition moving from Atlanta to here to Seattle? That must have been a really huge jump. And for me, honestly, it really hasn't. It has been the smoothest transition that I've had in moving into a different role. And I think in large part that is because of the Taproot staff and because of my relationship with the staff that I had prior to coming here. I immediately felt welcomed. I immediately felt like I could ask questions. I immediately felt like I could ask for help. And I think that's just a reflection on the impact that Taproot has with its artists. And so I'm just excited to dive in. I'm excited to learn more, like I said, about our community, about our patrons. I'm excited to continue to tell stories of hope from all different perspectives of life. There's endless possibilities in that. And I'm just excited to be a part of Taproot's growth and evolution in this season. So thank you for having me along for the ride.
Well, we certainly love having you here. And I'm just delighted by how you jumped in right away into the work of Taproot with the staff and with the road company, and also with our patrons and subscribers. I mean, you were there from day one, and I know you're going to be a very, very impactful force here at Taproot, and it's wonderful to have you here. Get to know you, Bretteney. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.